Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of our pre-calculus class here this summer. And I just wanted to give you a quick introduction of what's coming up. So hopefully everyone has satisfactorily to their own desires have finished week 1. If you have not, a couple of you I noticed did not send in your notes for all of week 1, and I'll still take them, but you need to get them into me soon, okay? And if you find yourself struggling with time management, try to remember we have the first homework due this week tomorrow night, second homework's due Thursday night, third homework's due Saturday night, and the quiz is due Sunday. I need you to really try and pace yourself throughout the week. Don't be waiting until the end of the week. Okay, so let's see, week 2, if I open up the module for week 2, just want to give you a quick idea. So this video will go right here where I'm saving a spot for it. But then in the first set of notes and homework assignment for sections 1.8 and 1.9, which are supposed to still be sort of in the review mode. Chapter 1 is still kind of in the review mode, but not necessarily. It's really kind of reviewing a lot of stuff we learned in algebra in a quick fashion. So first of all, section 1.8 is about inverse functions, understanding if a function actually has an inverse or not. Function has to be 1-to-1 to have an inverse, which means it needs to pass what's called a horizontal line test. It means that for every value of x, there's only one value of y. I mean, for every value of y, there's only one value of x. All right. And then how do I find the inverse of a function? So probably remember from algebra, switch the x and the y and solve for y, and then you have the inverse function. But just got to remember all that kind of stuff, section 1.8. And in section 1.9, we're going to be talking about the distance and the midpoint formula. So, you need to understand, especially the distance formula. When you get into calculus, you're going to use the distance formula quite a bit. So that's always something to make sure that you understand. The midpoint, you should know how to write the midpoint of a line segment and know what the standard form of a circle is and what the center and the radius of a circle when it's given to you in the standard form of that equation, etc. Okay, so distance and midpoint formulas in circles in section 1.9. And that would be it for the first section, the first set of homework that is due Tuesday. So then when we get into the second set of homework, which is due Thursday, we're going to be talking about complex numbers to begin with. So complex number, sometimes called imaginary numbers. So probably most of you remember or have seen that the square root of a negative number we know is not possible, but we define the square root of -1 as I for imaginary. So I squared is actually -1. It's kind of a weird concept, but then every complex number can be written as a plus bi, a real part a, an imaginary part b, which is a real number times I. Okay, and then we talk about how to multiply and divide these and how to perform other operations with the square roots of negative numbers, etc. Okay, that's in section 2.1. And in section 2.2, we're going to be talking about understanding quadratic functions, which are essentially parabolas if you were to graph them, right? X squared plus bx plus c equals y is a quadratic function. All right, we'll be able to graph these parabolas, determine the minimum or maximum value just from the equation, and solve problems that involves the function's minimum or maximum value. So that will be finishing up the second homework this week, homework 5, which is due on Thursday. And then on Saturday, you'll have the third and last homework for the week due, which is from sections 2.3, 2.4, and 2.5. Okay, in section 2.3, we're going to talk all about polynomials and their graphs. Okay, so there's a lot in here of the objectives. Make sure you take a look at that, but essentially all about polynomials and their graphs. Polynomials you should know the basic shapes of, etc. Okay, and then dividing polynomials using what's called the remainder and the factor theorems. First, I want to make sure you remember long and synthetic division to divide polynomials. And then we can also evaluate polynomials using what's called the remainder theorem. And then we can use what's called the factor theorem to solve a polynomial equation. All right, and then in section 2.5, lastly, we will be talking about the zeros of polynomial functions. So when a polynomial is set equal to 0, can we find the values of x for which that is true? We'll have what's called a rational zero theorem to find these, and we'll learn about working through and how to find these, and we'll also learn something called Descartes' rule of signs. Okay, so that's the work for the week. A lot ahead of you, so please remember, maintain pace. stay on top of the material, come to office hours if you need them, or set up an appointment with me outside of office hours. Happy to help you. All right, so we'll talk soon, I hope. Bye.